Tonight I'm going to carry you far to the north, into a country of deep snow and white silence, to a great warm house that stands alone in all that cold, and to a love that grows in the dark of the long winter nights. It is the longest journey we have taken yet, a tale of a woman who loved one she was never allowed to see, and lost him, and crossed the whole frozen world to win him back. So, settle in deep, for we will be a long while in the warm dark together. And if one story is not enough to carry you through the night, there is a 7-hour compilation of these tales waiting on my channel, the whole long dream gathered into one. But for now, let your eyes grow heavy, let your breathing slow, and follow me along the silver thread, north and north, into the snow. The thread leads you up out of the south, over the dark country, and as it goes, the air grows cold and clean and still, and the land beneath your drifting feet turns white. Snow lies over everything, deep and soft and silent, smoothing the whole world into gentle white curves, hushing every sound beneath its weight. The sky above is wide and pale and endless, hung with the dim soft glow of the velvet hour, and beneath it the snow stretches on and on, unbroken and serene, to a far white horizon you cannot find. There is a great stillness here, the deep stillness of a country sunk in winter, where the cold has quieted everything, and the snow has covered everything, and nothing moves but the slow drift of a few flakes through the pale air. You breathe in the cold, clean air, and it is sharp and pure and good, and you feel it wake something in you even as the white hush soothes you toward rest. A woman comes through the snow, and you go with her, the two of you almost one in the soft white silence. Her name is Ingrid, and she walks through the deep snow wrapped warm against the cold, her breath rising in soft clouds before her, her footsteps the only marks in all that smooth white world. She is a woman of quiet strength, the kind the cold north makes, calm and steady and brave, with clear eyes the colour of winter sky, and a stillness in her that matches the stillness of the snow. She follows the silver thread across the white country without fear, though the cold is deep and the way is long, for the thread is warm where all else is cold, and it leads her on, and something in her trusts it. And as she walks, a shape begins to gather out of the white silence ahead, large and dark against the snow, the one warm promise in all that cold. It is a house, a great house, standing alone in the deep snow with no other dwelling anywhere in sight. It is old and vast, and built to stand against the winter, its walls thick, its roof heavy with snow, its many windows dark, but for one, which glows warm and cold against the blue-white dusk. Smoke rises from its chimneys, thin and pale, the only living thing in all the still white country, and the warm cold light from its one bright window falls out across the snow towards her. There is something brave and tender in that one warm house, standing alone against the vast cold, the way it holds its small cold warmth in the heart of all that white silence. And it is there, the thread tells you, in that great warm house alone in the snow, that the one lives whose story this is, the one who comes only in the dark. Ingrid comes to the great doors of the house, and as she nears them, they open before her of their own accord, slow and smooth and soundless, breathing out a warmth that touches her cold face like the warmth from a great hearth. She pauses on the threshold, feeling the warm cold light within, reaching out to meet the cold blue dark without, and then, drawn by the thread and by the warmth and by something she cannot name, she steps inside. The doors close gently behind her, shutting out the cold and the snow and the white white silence, and she stands in a warmth so deep and so welcoming after the long, cold road that she nearly weeps from the ease of it. The house is grand and old and warm, lit gold by great fires that seem to have been laid and lit just for her coming, hung with deep furs and dark old wood, rich and warm and waiting. She stands in the cold warmth and feels the cold of the long road begin to thaw out of her, and feels too that the house has been waiting a long while for her to come. The warmth comes back into her slowly, the way warmth always comes back into a body that has been long in the cold, first into her face and her hands, then deeper into the chill places beneath. She had not known how cold she was until the warmth began to reach her, had carried the cold so long on the white road that it had become simply a part of her, and now it loosens and lifts away, degree by degree, in the deep cold warmth of the house. Her stiff cold fingers ease, her hunched cold shoulders lower, the deep ache of the cold drains slowly out of her bones, and a drowsy heaviness rises in its place, the heaviness of a body finally warm and finally safe. There is no sweeter feeling in all the world than warmth after long cold, the slow thaw of it, the deep ease of it, and she sinks into that feeling now with her whole grateful self. Let it be your feeling too, here in the warm cold house, the slow blessed thaw of warmth returning, the cold of the long day lifting away degree by degree, the deep drowsy heaviness rising soft in its place. Beyond the warm windows the snow goes on falling, soft and silent and endless, and there is a deep comfort in watching it from within the warmth, the cold held safely outside the glass. The flakes drift down through the pale dusk, slow and weightless, settling without a sound onto the deep white drifts below, smoothing the world a little softer, a little quieter with every passing hour. It is the gentlest thing to watch, falling snow, the slow, silent drift of it, the way it asks nothing and means nothing, and simply falls, soft and endless, through the dim blue dark, and to watch it from a place of warmth, wrapped in deep furs by a low gold fire, with the cold shut safely outside, is one of the deepest comforts there is. The comfort of being warm while the world is cold. Let the falling snow soothe you the way it soothes her, the slow, silent, endless drift of it beyond the warm glass, hushing the whole white world toward rest. There is nothing out there in the cold and the snow that can reach you here, in the warm cold heart of the house. Nothing at all but the soft, endless falling of the snow. The great house is built for the winter, built to hold its warmth against the long cold, and she feels the deep solidness of it around her, thick-walled and warm and safe. The fires burn in every great room, banked deep and cold, throwing warmth and soft moving light across the dark old wood and the deep furs and the heavy hangings. There is a smell of wood smoke and warm stone and something sweet beneath, and the air is warm and still, and the light is low and cold, and the whole of it wraps around her like a thing made to keep the cold away. It is a house that has stood 100 winters, and will stand 100 more, deep-rooted and patient and warm, and within its thick, warm walls she feels as safe as a small thing sheltered in the heart of something vast and kind. The winter may rage, and the snow may fall, and the cold may press against the walls all it likes, but it cannot come in, and within all is warm and cold and still. Let the deep, solid warmth of the great house hold you the way it holds her, thick-walled and safe against the cold, the warmth banked deep, the fires burning low and cold, the long winter shut safely outside. She wanders a colours rising, the candles catching, the warmth gathering close around her. It is a strange thing, a house that tends itself so, that seems almost to know her and to welcome her, and yet she is not unsettled by it, for there is nothing in its tending but kindness. She comes to feel the great warm house almost as a living thing, a great gentle creature that has taken her in out of the cold and means to keep her warm and safe all the long winter through. And the more of it she comes to know, the more it feels like a home. This great warm house alone in the snow, the one warm cold place in all the white silence, kept warm and waiting just for her. She lets it tend her, lets it warm her and feed her and fold its deep cold warmth around her, and she feels safer and warmer and more at home with every passing hour in the heart of the house in the snow. The warm house tends her, the way such houses do in the velvet hour, with a wordless, careful kindness that asks nothing and gives everything. Warm furs are drawn about her cold shoulders. Warm food is laid where her hands reach for it. Warm water is ready to thaw the cold from her tired limbs, all of it appearing gently, as though the house itself wished only her ease. She lets it care for her, lets it thaw her and warm her and feed her, lets the long cold road melt away into the deep cold warmth of the great house in the snow. And as the warmth soaks into her, as the cold loosens its grip and the ease spreads through her, she feels for the first time that she is not alone in the house. It is not the fires or the furs or the warm laid food. It is something more, someone more, a presence she cannot see, a great, quiet stillness keeping to the unlit corners of the warm house. There is nothing fearful in the feeling of it, only a size, a gentleness, a deep, careful, held-back quality, a sense of something large and kind keeping its distance in the dark. She turns towards one of the unlit corners where the feeling is strongest, and for the briefest moment she senses a movement there, a great dark shape easing further back into the shadow, withdrawing from her gaze the instant she turns it that way. Whatever it is, it does not wish to be seen, not yet, and it draws back into the dark so as not to frighten her, with a gentleness that is somehow more striking than any boldness could ever be. And Ingrid, warm now and thawed and at her ease, feels not fear at the presence, but a deep and gentle curiosity, the wish to know who shares this great warm house in the snow, who keeps to its dark corners, who tends her so kindly from the shadow. She sits in the cold warmth and lets the presence be, lets it keep its distance, lets it know by her stillness and her ease that she is not afraid, that it need not hide from her so completely. And in the warm cold dark, she feels the presence settle a little nearer, just a little, still in the shadow but no longer quite so far, as though her ease had drawn it a careful step toward her. You feel it too, the great warm house and the gentle presence in its shadows, because in the velvet hour you and Ingrid are very nearly the same, thawing together in the same cold warmth against the same white cold. There is nothing here that wishes you harm, nothing that asks anything of you, only the deep cold warmth of the great house and the cold, clean hush of the snow beyond its walls. Let the warmth thaw you the way it thaws her, soaking deep into your tired limbs, melting the cold of the long day, easing every small held tightness away. Let the white silence of the snow beyond the walls deepen the hush within, the great soft quiet of a winter country sunk in rest, the deep precisely the way understanding comes in a dream, not told, but simply known, settling into her along with the warmth. She may stay here, in this great warm house in the snow, may share its cold warmth and its deep furs and its long winter nights, may be cherished and tended and kept safe against all the cold. She may share, too, the warm dark of those long nights with the one who keeps the house, the great gentle presence in the shadows, may have his nearness and his warmth and his company through the deep cold dark, on one condition and one alone, which she knows as surely as she knows her own name, that she must never bring a light to look upon him, never see him by the light of day, never lay eyes upon the one who comes to her only in the dark. She turns the bargain over in the warm cold quiet, and she finds in herself no wish to refuse it, for there is nothing fearful in the presence, only that deep careful gentleness, and there is nothing cruel in the condition, only the asking of a trust. The house is warm, and the cold beyond is vast, and the presence is kind, and she is tired of the long road and glad of a place to rest, and so she agrees, in her heart, to the bargain of the dark. She will not bring the light, she will not seek to see him. She will share the warm dark with the gentle one, and trust him without a face to set to him, and let the warm house keep her safe against the winter. It is a strange thing to agree to, when she turns it over in the warm cold quiet, to give her trust to one she will never see, to share the deepest dark of the nights with a presence she can only feel. And yet it does not frighten her, for she has felt the gentleness of him, felt it fill the warm dark as surely as his warmth, and there is no fear that can stand against a gentleness so deep. There is, too, a kind of rightness in it that she cannot quite explain, the sense that here in the far north, in the long dark of the winter, this is simply the way of things, the bargain the house and the season ask. The dark is so deep here, the winter so long, that to share it with another, even unseen, is a gift, rather than a strangeness, a warmth in the heart of all the cold. And so she agrees to it gladly, the bargain of the dark, and feels, in the agreeing, a deep settling in herself, the settling of one who has found, at the end of a long cold road, a place to rest at last. When the gentle one comes to her that first warm night, she finds that the not seeing of him sharpens every other sense, makes her keen and aware in a way the light never did. In the whole warm dark, she becomes aware of him through the smallest things, the warmth of his nearness, the soft displacement of the air as he settles, the deep, slow sound of his breathing close beside her, where the eyes would have given her everything at once and asked nothing of her. The dark gives him to her slowly, a little at a time, so that knowing him becomes a thing she does with her whole quiet attention. And there is a deep sweetness in that slow, attentive knowing, a closeness in it that sight could never give, for to know another by warmth and breath alone is to know them from very near indeed. She lies in the warm dark and gathers him to her sense by sense, the warmth, the breath, the great gentle nearness, and each small thing she learns of him feels precious for the patience it costs her. The warmth of him fills the dark slowly, the way warmth fills a cold room from a banked fire, until the whole dark seems warm with him, and her own warmth and his become one warmth in the black. She feels it along her side where he rests near, feels it move into her and join with her own, until she could not say where his warmth ends and hers begins. It is the simplest thing, this sharing of warmth in the dark, and yet it eases her more deeply than anything in all her life before, loosens the last of the long cold road out of her, melts the last held dryness away. There is no demand in it, no haste, only the slow, generous giving of warmth from one to another in the deep dark of the winter night. She receives it the way the cold earth receives the first warmth of spring, gratefully, fully, with nothing held back, and lets her own warmth flow gently towards him in return. And beneath the warmth there is the breath, the slow, deep breathing she matches without meaning to, until the two breaths rise and fall as one slow tide in the dark. There is no hurry anywhere in that first warm night, no climbing toward anything, only the slow spreading of warmth and nearness through the deep dark of the winter. Time loosens its hold, the way it always does in the velvet hour, pooling instead of running, gathering warm and still around the two of them, so that the long night seems to stretch out endlessly and ask nothing but rest. She has nowhere to be, and nothing to do, and no cold road left to walk, only the warm dark and his gentle nearness, and the slow shared breath, and the deep, sure knowledge that she is safe. The fear that lives in most darks has no place in this one, for this dark is warm, this dark is kind, this dark holds her the way it holds him, gently and completely and without any end, and so she lets herself sink into it the way she has wanted to sink all her life, all the way down into the warm dark, held and warm and unafraid, with the gentle one beside her and the snow falling soft and silent beyond the walls. And so, as the deepest part of the first night comes on, the presence comes to her at last, in the warm dark, the way it will come to her through all the long winter nights. She feels it the way Leora once felt the unseen one in the lightless palace far to the south, by warmth and by nearness, and by the soft, slow sound of breathing in the dark. The air warms on one side of her, and a great gentle weight settles near, and a warmth reaches her that is unmistakably the warmth of another, large and living and near in the dark. There is no fear in it, none at all, for the gentleness of him fills the warm dark as surely as his warmth, a tenderness so deep and so careful that fear can find no place to stand. He is vast, she can feel it, far larger than any man, a great warm presence in the dark beside her, and yet, for all his size, there is nothing in him but the most careful gentleness, the gentleness of great strength bent wholly toward not frightening her. What passes between them in that first warm night is all nearness and warmth and the slow language of breath, and it is the sweeter and the deeper for being unseen. She cannot see him, not the faintest line, for the dark is whole and he is part of the dark, and yet she has never been so aware of another, so conscious of every shift of warmth and air. She feels the great slow rhythm of his breathing, deep and even, and without meaning to, she matches her own to it, until the two breaths rise and fall as one in the warm dark. She feels his warmth along the length of her, and the careful tenderness of his nearness, and the deep, reverent stillness of him, as though he could scarcely believe he was allowed so near, as though her trust were the dearest thing he had ever been given. And in the warm dark, with the gentle one beside her, something in her that had been held tight on the long cold road begins quietly, gratefully, to ease. It does not climb toward anything. The warmth of that first night, it only spreads, slow and golden and low, the way warmth spreads through a body sinking into a deep warm bath after a long day in the cold. The great gentle presence holds the warm dark around them both, in no hurry, content beyond all telling simply to be near her, to be trusted, to share the warm dark with one who does not fear him, and his contentment becomes becomes hers, and the warmth of him becomes her warmth, and the slow, shared breathing becomes the only rhythm in all the still white world. She feels the long, cold road dissolve into the warmth, feels her thoughts grow soft and slow and golden, feels the whole of her drawn down into the warm dark and the gentle nearness. And somewhere in that warm, slow sinking, with the gentle one close beside her and the snow falling soft and silent beyond the walls, she begins easily and deeply to fall asleep. You fall with her, of course, because that is what the velvet hour is for, and the warmth she feels is the warmth of your own bed, and the slow, shared breath is your own breath slowing toward sleep. There is nothing for you to do tonight but what Ingrid is doing, lying warm in the dark, letting the gentle nearness hold you, letting the warmth spread low and slow until it fills you completely. Let your breath go long and slow. Let the warm dark be soft and whole around you. Let the white silence of the snow deepen the hush of your own warm room. Let the bargain of the dark be your bargain too. The trust that asks you only to rest, to let go of seeing, to be held in the warm dark by something gentle and kind. The snow falls soft beyond the walls. The cold fire breathes low. The great gentle presence holds the warm dark close, and you are safe and warm and held. Sink into the warm dark of the first winter night and let yourself drift as the love begins, quietly to grow. And through the deepest hours she sleeps, warm and close to the gentle one, and the great house keeps its warm dark hole around them both, faithful and patient as the snow. And at some point in the slow turning of the night, before the first grey light of the winter dawn can touch the white world, the gentle one rises softly from beside her and withdraws. She feels it even in her sleep, the warmth at her side cooling by the smallest degree, the great soft weight easing away, the nearness drawing back into the dark from which it came. He goes before the light could ever find him, because the dark is the law of his coming, and the dark is the law of his going too, and he keeps it as faithfully as he asks her to keep it. He's gone before she fully wakes, leaving only warmth in the place where he lay, and she surfaces slowly into the cold, bright morning of the great house in the snow, already, even now, beginning to wonder, soft and gentle, about the one who comes only in the dark. A rhythm forms in the great house in the snow, slow and deep and even, the rhythm of the long northern winter, and Ingrid gives herself over to it completely. There are the days, the bright cold days, when she has the great warm house to herself, the coal fires and the deep firs and the wide windows full of white silence. And there's her other nights, the long warm nights, when the gentle one comes to her in the dark, near and tender and unseen, and the warmth fills the dark between them. Between the two she lives, cherished and companioned, wanting for nothing, warm and safe in the heart of all that cold, and the wanting for nothing is itself a slow, deep happiness she sinks into more fully with each passing day. The winter is long in the north, longer than any winter of the south, and across its long, slow length, the love between them grows. In the bright, cold days, she comes to know the great house, wandering its many warm rooms by the pale winter light, learning it the way one learns a place that has become a home. It is vast, far larger than any one soul could fill, room opening into warm room, hall into cold lit hall, all of it deep and old and warm against the cold. She finds great hearths always burning, and deep chairs drawn close to them, and windows that look out endless white snow and the far pale mountains beyond. She finds storerooms full of winter plenty and warm kitchens that seem to cook without hands, and long galleries hung with dim old furs and faded hangings, and everywhere the warm wordless tending of the house follows her, lighting, warming, easing, and everywhere too she feels the daytime absence of the gentle one, the warm house empty of his nearness through the bright hours, waiting, like her, for the dark to bring him back. The bright cold days have their own slow beauty, she comes to find, even alone, even waiting, for the winter light over the snow is a lovely thing. She stands at the wide windows and watches it, the pale gold light of the low winter sun lying soft across the endless white, the long blue shadows of the drifts, the far pale mountains rising at the edge of the world. Sometimes the sky clears and the light turns brilliant, the snow blazing white beneath a hard blue sky, and sometimes the clouds come low and grey, and the snow falls soft, and the whole world goes dim and gentle. She comes to love the winter light in all its moods, the brilliance and the dimness, the long blue shadows and the soft, grey hush, the slow turning of the short bright days, and through all of it she waits, content in her waiting, for the dark to come and bring the gentle one back, the long bright day only the slow, sweet space between one warm night and the next, and the long warm nights when they come are the warm gold heart of all her days, and across the winter she comes to treasure them beyond anything. She comes to know the gentle one so deeply in the dark, the particular warmth of him, the slow, deep rhythm of his breathing, the careful, tender, reverent way he has of being near her, that he becomes more dear to her than her own life. She learns the small shifts of his stillness, the way he settles deeper when she is content, the way he grows careful and still when she stirs, ready always to ease whatever she might need. And he learns her too, the rhythms of her quiet, the things that settle her and the things that stir her, the slow, warm deepening of her ease, until between them grows a wordless understanding, as deep and sure as any words could build. Night after warm winter night they grow nearer, the love between them deepening from a gentle fondness into something vast and sure, warm and whole in the heart of all the cold. She comes to feel, across the long winter, how much she is loved, and the feeling of it heals something in her she had not known was wounded, for there is a depth to his cherishing that she has never known before, a tenderness so careful and so complete that she feels, in the warm dark, more precious than she has ever felt in all her life. She senses that her trust is a gift to him beyond all reckoning, that the warm nights together are to him a wonder he had never dared to hope for, that she is dearer to him than anything in all the cold white world, and being loved so, being cherished so, the long habit of carrying herself alone, of bracing against the cold and the world, begins at last to loosen and fall away. She had not known how heavy it was, that long-held readiness, until she felt it lifting in the warmth of his cherishing, and in its place came a deep, slow happiness, the happiness of one who is warm and safe and loved. There is a sorrow somewhere beneath his gentleness, she comes to sense across the winter, a held grief or a hidden weight, a thing he carries through the warm dark that she cannot name. It is in the way he holds her sometimes, as though he feared to lose her, in a faint heaviness beneath his tenderness, in something in him that seems to grieve even in the midst of his joy. It makes her tender towards him. That hidden sorrow makes her want to ease it, to lift whatever it is he carries, and she senses too that her own nearness is somehow easing it, that her trust and her love are slowly lightening his hidden weight. The brambles of his sorrow, whatever they are, seem to soften the longer she stays, the warm nights growing warmer, his joy growing surer, as though her staying was slowly healing some old, deep wound. But she does not press toward it, does not seek to know it, for the bargain asks her not to seek, and she keeps the bargain gladly, and loves him as he is, and lets her love do its slow healing work in the warm dark. It is the warm, restful heart of the tale, this long, deepening winter, and you may rest in it as deeply as she does, for there is nothing here yet to trouble your rest. There is only the slow, even rhythm of the bright, cold days and the long, warm nights, the love deepening, the trust building, the hidden sorrow slowly easing, the warm house holding you both against the snow. Let it carry you the way it carries her, the gentle tide of being cherished and companioned, the long winter wrapping warm around you, the deep, slow happiness of wanting for nothing. Let the long-held readiness in you loosen too, the small braces and guards you carry without noticing, and feel how light you become as they fall away into the warm dark. The snow falls soft and endless. The winter stretches long and warm. The gentle one holds the dark close, and the love grows on, deep and sure and whole. For she comes to long for the nights across the long winter, to wait through the bright cold days for the dark that brings him near. She comes to know his nearness as deeply as she knows the warmth of the house, the great quiet presence of him in the dark, the slow, deep rhythm of his breathing, the careful, tender way he has of being near her. She learns the particular warmth of him, the gentleness, the reverence, the deep contentment he takes simply in being near her, untrusted, and these become as dear to her as anything she has ever known. In the warm dark she loves him, fully and deeply, this one she has never seen, and the loving is made of warmth and nearness and trust, and across the long winter it grows from a gentle fondness into something vast. The dark stays whole between them, night after warm winter night, and within its wholeness she is happier than she has ever been, deeply and warmly and quietly at home, and he loves her. She can feel it in every careful, tender nearness, loves her perhaps even more deeply than she loves him, for she senses in him a long loneliness behind the love, a gratitude so deep it aches. She senses that she is precious to him beyond all telling, that her trust is a gift he can scarcely believe he has been given, that the warm nights together are to him a wonder he had never let himself hope for. There is a sorrow somewhere beneath his gentleness, a thing she cannot name, a held grief or a hidden weight, and it makes her tender toward him, makes her want to ease whatever it is that he carries through the dark. But she does not press toward it, does not seek to know it, for the bargain of the dark asks her not to seek, and she keeps the bargain gladly, and lets him keep his shadows, and loves him as he is, unseen, and across the long winter the love deepens between them, warm and trusting and whole, the warm dark holding them both against the vast white cold. It is the warm, restful heart of the tale, this long deepening winter, and you may rest in it as deeply as she does, for there is nothing here yet to trouble your rest. There is only the slow, even rhythm of the bright, cold days and the long, warm nights, the love deepening, the trust building, the warm house holding you both against the snow. Let it carry you the way it carries her, the gentle tide of being cherished and companioned, coming in and going out, holding you up so hold yourself up at all. Let the long, warm winter wrap around you, the coal fires, the deep furs, the white silence beyond the walls, the gentle nearness in the dark, and let yourself sink into the deep, slow happiness of wanting for nothing. The snow falls soft and endless, the winter stretches long and warm. The gentle one holds the dark close, and the love grows on, deep and sure. Sink into the warm, restful heart of the long winter, and let yourself drift, deeper and warmer, with every slow night. But happiness, even the deepest and the warmest, leaves a small soft room within itself, where something new can grow. And across the long winter, in that small room, something begins, very quietly, to stir in Ingrid. It is nothing she could point to at first, nothing that troubles her warm content, only the faintest new wondering, the smallest seed of a question, planted soft in the warm, dark soil of her happiness. She has come to know the gentle one so deeply, his warmth, his breath, his tenderness, his nearness, and knowing him so deeply, she finds she has begun to wonder, ever so gently, who he truly is. What is he, that he is so large and so warm in the dark, that he may not be seen by the light, that he carries a hidden sorrow through the warm nights? It is a small wondering, a soft one, harmless as a seed, and for now it troubles nothing. It only sits there in the warm dark, patient and quiet, beginning slowly to grow. You feel it too, perhaps, the first faint stirring of the wondering beneath all the warmth, and it need not trouble your rest any more than it troubles hers. It is faint still and soft, the gentlest curiosity, nothing sharp, nothing fearful, only the small new question turning slow in a drowsy and contented mind. Let it rest there in the warm dark, that small soft seed, and rest with it, and do not let it pull you from the deep ease of the long winter. The love is warm and sure, the house is safe, the gentle one is near, and the small wondering is only one more soft thing in the warm dark, harmless as a falling flake of snow. Sink back into the deep, warm happiness of the long winter, and let the small seed rest, and let yourself drift as the long northern night carries you down towards sleep. The seed that was planted in the warm, dark soil of Ingrid's happiness does not stay small for long, because that is the way of seeds, to grow, and across the long, deepening winter it begins to put out roots and reach. The soft wondering about who the gentle one truly is grows, slowly, into a true and restless question, the old human ache to know the thing one loves, to set a face and a form to the warmth one holds so dear. It does not make her unhappy, not at first, for she is still cherished, still companioned, still warm in the dark every night with the gentle one near. But the question grows alongside the happiness now, twined around it, the wish to know him by sight reaching up through her contentment like a vine reaching for a light it has never seen. And the longer the winter stretches, the larger the question grows, until it begins to press at the edges of the small room where it was planted. Perhaps it is the long dark of the northern winter that feeds it, the endless cold nights that give a restless mind too much room to wonder. Perhaps it is some whisper of an old fear, the deep human unease at loving what cannot be seen, at trusting a warmth with no face, at giving one's heart to a presence in the dark. Or perhaps it is only the natural growing of a love that wishes to know its beloved wholly, the wish to see the one she holds so dear, to carry his image with her through the long, bright, lonely days. Whatever feeds it, the question grows and grows, until it is no longer a soft idle wondering, but a deep, it is then that knowing him so well, and seeing him not at all aches the most keenly, to lie in his warmth, matched breath to breath, as close to another as one can be, and still to have no image of him, nothing for the mind to hold and keep through the bright lonely days, begins to feel almost unbearable. She presses close to him in the dark, as though closeness alone might somehow show her what her eyes cannot, as though if she were near enough, the knowing might come through her very skin. But the dark stays whole as the bargain asks, and he stays unseen, and the question in her, denied, grows larger and larger, the way a held breath grows larger in the chest. She loves him, and the loving and the wondering have become tangled past all parting, each one feeding the other in the long, warm dark. She tries, in the long, bright days, to build him from the pieces she knows, the way you might try to picture a voice you have heard, but never seen the face behind. She knows the warmth of him, the great breadth of it, that tells her something of his size, the gentleness of his nearness, that tells her something of his heart. She knows the slow, deep rhythm of his breathing, and the careful, tender way he settles beside her, and the hidden sorrow she senses beneath his joy. From all of this, she tries to make a picture, some image she can hold and keep through the lonely, bright hours. And yet, the picture will not come, for warmth has no face, and breath has no shape, and the harder she reaches for it, the more it slips away, and the failing of it, day after day, deepens the wondering in her, the wish to have one true image of him at last, one thing her mind can hold and carry when he is gone with the dawn. The long northern dark feeds the wondering she comes to feel, the endless cold nights that give a restless mind too much room to turn a question over. In the south, the nights are short and the days are long and bright, and there is little time for a doubt to grow. But here in the far north, the dark stretches on for half the turning of the year, and in all that dark, with the gentle one, near every night and unseen every night, the question has room to grow, as it never would in a brighter land, room to root and reach and spread through her quiet hours. Perhaps it is only that, the long dark working on her, or perhaps it is some older unease, the deep human disquiet at loving what cannot be seen, at trusting a warmth with no face to set to it. Whatever feeds it, the wondering grows through the long dark winter, from a soft idle curiosity into a deep and restless need, the need to know, the need to see, and she begins, against all her own better wishes, to think of the light. There are lamps in the great warm house, and means of fire, and it would be the simplest thing in all the world, on some deep night when he lay sleeping beside her, to make a small flame, and turn it toward him, and see at last the one she loves. The thought lodges in her like a splinter, small and sharp and impossible to ignore, and once it has lodged, she cannot put it down. She knows the bargain, knows the one condition, knows that she promised never to bring a light, never to seek to see him, never to break the trust of the warm dark, and yet the wish to look grows stronger than the promise, the need to know stronger than the bargain, until she can think of little else through the long dark days but the small flame she might make, and the face it might show her. She carries the wish for a long while, in silence, in the warm dark, neither acting on it nor letting it go, torn between her promise and her need. She does not want to break the trust, for she loves him, and the warm nights are dear to her, and she fears, somewhere deep, what the breaking might cost. But the need will not rest, will not quiet, will not be pushed away, and night after warm night she lies beside the gentle one, a dream, that one deep night the wish will grow too large to hold, and the small flame will be made, and she will look, and the knowing fills her with both a trembling hope and a cold, soft dread, for she wants more than anything to see him, and she fears, without knowing why, what the seeing will bring. You feel the gentle pull of it, the soft, sharp tension of a wish that has become a need, and yet there is nothing in it sharp enough to wake you. It is the slow kind of wanting that turns in a drowsy mind at the very edge of sleep, the wish to know, the wish to see, the old soft ache of loving what cannot be held in the eye. Let it turn there gently, the wish and the warmth and the soft dread twine together, and do not be troubled by it, for in the velvet hour even the doubt is a kind of rest. Let your breath stay long and slow, let the warm dark hold you, and let the wish to see be only one more soft thing turning in the warm dark, drawing you down towards sleep rather than away from it. The snow falls soft beyond the walls, the gentle one sleeps near in the dark, the small flame waits unlit, and the wish grows, slow and warm and trembling, toward the deep night when the light will at last be made. She would not feel the dread, perhaps, if she did not love him so, for it is the loving that makes the breaking matter, the loving that makes her fear the cost of looking. And yet it is the loving too that drives the wish to see, so that the love feeds both the longing and the dread at once, twined past all parting in the long warm dark. She lies beside him through the deep cold nights, and holds them both within her, the wish and the dread, the hope and the fear, and she cannot say which is the stronger, only that the wish grows larger with every passing night, and the dread grows quieter, and she knows that soon, very soon, the one will outgrow the other at last, and in the meantime she carries them both, the wish and the dread, through the long bright days and the long warm nights, and the carrying of them becomes the secret weather of all her hours. It colours everything now, that quiet inner weather, the bright cold days and the warm dark nights alike, so that even in his nearness she is no longer wholly at peace, the small flame of the question burning always somewhere within her. There is a part of her, too, that wonders whether the looking might not be a kindness rather than a betrayal, whether to see him might somehow help him, free him, ease the hidden sorrow she has felt in him so long. She does not understand the bargain, after all, does not know why he may not be seen, does not know what the dark is truly for, and in her not knowing she half persuades herself that the looking could do no harm. It is the way of a restless mind to build such reasons, to talk itself slowly toward the thing it has already decided to do, and she builds them now in the long dark hours, and the reasons, true or false, make the wish only stronger, until between the wish and the reasons and the long northern dark, the looking comes to feel almost inevitable, a thing already half done in her heart. She tells herself she will be careful, that she will look only for a moment, that she will keep the flame small and shielded, and turn it away again before any harm can come, and these careful promises soothe her even as they carry her nearer to the deed. You feel the gentle pull of it, the soft sharp tension of a wish that has become a need, and yet there is nothing in it sharp enough to wake you. It is the slow kind of wanting that turns in a drowsy mind at the very edge of sleep, the wish to know, the wish to see, the old soft ache of loving what cannot be held in the eye. Let it turn there gently, the wish and the warmth and the soft dread twine together, and do not be troubled by it, for in the velvet hour even the doubt is a kind of rest. long and slow. Let the warm dark hold you, and let the wish to see be only one more soft thing turning in the warm dark, drawing you down toward a sleep rather than away from it. The snow falls soft beyond the walls. The gentle one sleeps near in the dark. The small flame waits unlit, and the wish grows, slow and warm and trembling, toward the deep night when the light will at last be made. The night comes, as you knew it would, when the wish in Ingrid has grown too large to hold any longer, and it is the warmest and the most sorrowful of all the long winter nights. She lies in the warm dark beside the gentle one, and near her hand she has kept a small lamp hidden, and a means of fire beside it, secret in the dark. She has not decided, not truly, not in words, but the decision has been growing in her for so many nights that it scarcely needs deciding now. It needs only the moment, and the moment is coming. She can feel it coming, the way you feel the turning of a dream towards its centre, and she lies very still and waits for the gentle one to come, her heart beating slow and full with love, and with the trembling wish to see him at last. He comes to her as he always comes, by slow warm degrees, the air warming, the great soft weight settling near, the gentle warmth, and the slow deep breathing filling the dark. She loves him in this moment as deeply as she has ever loved him, which is part of what makes the wish ache so, for to love so deeply and to see so little has become more than her full heart can bear. She lies in his warmth through the deep, slow turning of the night, near and held and warm, matched breath to breath, until at last she feels by his breathing that he has drifted into sleep beside her. His breath goes long and slow and even, the breath of one deeply and trustingly asleep, trusting her, trusting the dark, trusting the bargain she made, and she knows that the moment has come. Her hand finds the small lamp in the dark, and the means of fire beside it, and she lies one last long moment with everything still possible, the dark still whole, the trust still kept. For a long while she does not move at all, only lies in the warm dark beside his sleeping warmth, listening to the slow deep rise and fall of his breathing. The whole great house is still around them, stiller than she has ever known it, the snow falling silent beyond the walls, the winter holding its breath, as though the night itself knew what she was about to do. She feels the small lamp near her hand, cool and waiting, and she feels her own heart beating slow and full and afraid, and between the two she lies suspended, the moment stretching out long and warm and trembling. She could still let it be, even now, could leave the dark hole and keep him, and ask no more than the warmth she has been given, and a soft voice in her pleads for exactly that. But the wish has grown too large to hold any longer, and beneath the fear there is a pull stronger than the fear, the pull of all the long winter's wandering, drawing her hand toward the lamp. She thinks of his warmth, here beside her now, the warmth she has loved through all the long winter nights, without ever once seeing its source. She thinks of how it would be to carry his face with her at last through the bright, lonely days, to have one true image of him to hold and keep, to close the one small distance that all her loving cannot close. The wish is so warm, so sweet, so nearly within her reach, that it drowns out the soft pleading voice, drowns out the memory of the bargain, drowns out everything but itself. And there is love in it too. That is the deep sorrow of what comes, for she does not wish to break the trust out of any coldness, only out of love itself, the wish to know wholly the one she loves so wholly. She tells herself it is a small thing, one small light, one brief look, that surely so small a thing could not undo so warm a world, and the telling makes the wish only stronger. In that last warm, trembling moment, she is more aware of him than she has ever been, his nearness sharpened to an almost unbearable keenness by what she is about to do. She feels every point of his warmth against her, the slow, deep stir of his breathing, the great, gentle, trusting stillness of his sleep, and her love for him rises up so strong that it almost stays her hand. He trusts her so completely. That is the thing that nearly stops her. He sleeps so deeply and so trustingly beside her, certain she will keep the bargain, certain she will not bring the light, and she is about to break that trust, out of love, out of the need to know, and some part of her grieves the breaking even before it comes, even as the wish drives her hand on toward the lamp. She gathers her courage in the warm dark, her heart beating slow and full and afraid, and she makes ready to do the thing she has wished and dreaded through the whole long winter. She does not know in this last warm moment how near she is to undoing everything, how close the long enchantment is to breaking of its own accord, how one more winter of her faith might have freed him forever without any light at all. She knows only the wish that has grown through all the long dark to fill her past all holding, the wish to see the one she loves. And so she will look in love and in longing and in the not knowing of what it will cost, the way so many have looked before her, undone not by cruelty, but by the simple human ache to see the beloved whole. It is the gentlest of failings, and the most human, and it will cost her everything, and she does not know it yet, here in the last warm, trembling moment before the flame. And so she does not hold back any longer, for the wish has grown past all holding, and the long winter of wondering has come at last to its single turning point. You feel the hell breath of the moment, the warm trembling stillness before the turning, and yet even here the velvet hour keeps you gently held. There is a tension in it, the soft tension of a story drawing toward its centre, but it is the kind of tension that turns in a drowsy mind without ever jolting you awake. Let it turn there gently. The warm dark, the waiting lamp, the trembling hand, the slow, full beating of an afraid and loving heart. Let your breath stay long and slow even through the trembling, and sink, for you are warm and safe in your own bed, and the turning of the tale cannot touch you. It can only draw you deeper down towards sleep. And then, with her heart beating slow and full and trembling, with the love and the wish and the dread all twined together in her, she makes the small flame, and she lifts the lamp, and she turns its light upon the one she has never seen, and there in the cold light she sees him at last, and he is beautiful, beautiful beyond anything her wondering had dared to imagine through all the long winter nights. He is not a beast, not a monster, but a man, or something like a man, and more than a man, tall and strong and lovely, with a face of such gentle nobility and such deep, quiet sorrow that her breath catches in her throat. The warm gold light falls over him, and she sees the kindness in his sleeping face, the long loneliness, the held grief she had felt so often in the dark, and her heart floods with a love so great it nearly overwhelms her. She has looked at last upon the one she loves, and the seeing is everything she hoped, and in the very moment of the seeing, she knows with a cold clutch of dread that she has broken the one thing that held them, for the light is the one forbidden thing, the dark the one law she was never to break, and the breaking of it cannot be undone. As she leans close, drinking in the sight of him at last, the lamp trembles in her unsteady hand, and a drop of its warmth falls and touches him, and he wakes. His eyes open, and for one held breath, they look at one another, the seen and the seeing, across the small forbidden flame, and in his face there is no anger, only a deep and sudden and terrible sorrow. The bargain is broken, the trust undone, and the spell that held him, the hidden weight he carried through all the warm nights, wakes with him and takes him in its grip. She feels it begin even before he moves. A change in the warm air, a cold breath at the edges of the dark, the first stirring of a power that the breaking of the rule is given leave to act. He must go. She understands it even before he rises, sees the knowledge of it in his sorrowful waking eyes, and the understanding breaks her heart. He had been held under a spell, she sees now, an enchantment that the dark and her trust had been slowly easing, that one more winter of her faith might have broken forever, and her light has undone it all at the very edge of freedom. Now the spell takes him back, and he is carried away from her, drawn by the breaking of the rule to a far place beyond the edge of the world, a cold palace east of the sun and west of the moon, where a cold power waits to keep him. She reaches for him, the lamp falling, the small flame guttering, but he is already drawing away, already fading, already lost, carried off into the cold dark beyond the warm house. And the warm house goes cold around her, the cold fire sinking to ash, the deep warmth draining away, the long winter pressing in at last through the walls, and she is left alone in the cold and the dark, with the memory of his beautiful, sorrowful face, and the silver thread leading away. You feel the turning of it, the great warm sorrow of the loss, and yet even here, at the sharpest moment of the tale, the velvet hour keeps you gently held. There is grief in this, the grief of a trust broken, and a love lost at the very edge of being won. But it is a soft grief, a slow grief, the kind that aches at the edge of a dream without ever jolting you awake. Let it move through you gently, the broken bargain, the beautiful face seen too late, the gentle one carried off into the cold, and do not let it tighten you or wake you. It is only a story, and you are warm and safe in your own bed, and the sorrow of the tale cannot touch you. It can only deepen the warm, dark drift towards sleep. Let your breath stay long and slow even through the sorrow, and feel beneath it the silver thread already glowing, leading away to the far place where he is held. The fires sink to ash, the gentle one is carried off, but the thread is unbroken, and her love is sure, and the long journey is already, even now, beginning to call her. Sink into the soft sorrow and the surer hope beneath it, and let yourself drift, as Ingrid rises alone in the cold to follow the thread to the end of the world. Ingrid rises in the cold dark of the emptied house, and she does not weep for long, for she is a woman of the north, and the cold has taught her to be brave, and her love is greater than her grief. She understands what she must do, the way one understands the surest things, that she must follow the silver thread to the far place where the gentle one is being carried, however far it leads, however long it takes, however hard the road. She wraps herself warm against the winter, and she takes up the thread which runs still from her heart out through the cold dark toward the edge of the world, and she sets out into the snow. The great house falls cold and dark behind her, and the vast white country opens before her, and she walks out into it alone, following the thread toward a place beyond the edge of all the maps, east of the sun and west of the moon. This is the long journey, the great quest, the heart of the tale, and you may settle undeep for it will carry you far country she crosses is the vast frozen north, wider and wilder than any country of the south, and she crosses it slowly, on foot, through the long polar dark. She walks over white plains that stretch on for days, smooth and endless beneath the dim soft sky, her breath rising in clouds, her footsteps the only marks in all the white. She climbs white mountains, vast and silent, their peaks lost in the pale dark, and crosses frozen seas, where the ice groans and shifts beneath the snow, and threads through forests where the trees hang heavy and silent under their white burdens. The cold is deep, and the way is long, and the dark is endless, and yet she does not falter, for the thread leads her on, warm where all else is cold, and her love drives her, deeper and surer than the cold. She walks and walks through the long white silence, and the walking becomes a kind of meditation, a slow, steady devotion, each step a small act of love carrying her nearer to the one she lost. And she is not alone on the long road, for the frozen country has its keepers, strange and gentle ones who live at the lonely edges of the world, and they help her on her way. She comes first to an old woman who lives alone in a small warm hut in the heart of the white waste, who takes her in and warms her and feeds her, and who, when Ingrid tells her wordless tale, gives her a small gift, and points her onward toward the next keeper, farther still. And so it goes, from keeper to keeper, each one older and stranger, and farther from the world than the last, each one warming her, and helping her, and sending her on with a small gift, and a pointing of the way. There is a deep comfort in these meetings, in the warm huts in the cold waste, the kindness of the lonely keepers, the small gifts gathered one by one, and you may rest in each one as Ingrid rests, warmed and helped and sent gently onward. The gifts she gathers are small and strange, and she does not yet know their use, but she keeps them close and carries them on, and trusts that their use will come. The walking itself becomes a kind of devotion across the long white miles, each step a small act of love carrying her nearer to the one she lost. She finds a rhythm in it, the steady placing of one foot before the other through the deep snow, the slow, even breathing of the cold, clean air, the long, patient covering of the endless white. There is a strange peace in it, despite the cold and the distance, the peace of a single, clear purpose, of having only one thing to do, and doing it steadily, mile after mile after mile. Her mind grows quiet as she walks, emptied of everything but the thread before her, and the love that drives her, and the slow, steady rhythm of the road. And in that quiet, she feels herself growing stronger, not weaker, the long walk tempering her, the cold teaching her its patience, the journey making her equal at last to its own great length. The warm huts of the lonely keepers are the bright points of the long road, the warm rests in all the cold, and she comes to treasure each one. After days alone in the white silence, to come upon a small warm hut with its cold window glowing in the waste is a joy beyond telling, a warmth and a welcome in the heart of all the cold. The keepers take her in, each one, and warm her and feed her and let her rest, and ask her wordless tale, and send her on with kindness and a small strange gift. They are old, the keepers, older and stranger, the farther she goes, women who have lived alone at the lonely edges of the world for longer than the world remembers, and yet there is no fear in them, only a deep weathered kindness. She rests in each warm hut as you may rest now, warmed and fed and sheltered, gathering her strength for the next stage of the road, the small gifts gathering close about her, the way drawing on toward the winds, and the winds, when she comes to them at last, the strangest and the grandest of all the keepers, old and wild and vast, the great breaths of the turning world. The south wind is the gentlest, soft and warm and wandering, and he takes her up and carries her a stage of the way, the white country rushing soft beneath her, and sets her down at the door of his stronger brother. The east wind is wilder, and carries her farther and faster, and the west wind wilder still, each one bearing her on its great cold back across the frozen world, swifter than any walking, toward the edge of everything. There is no fear in the flying, for the winds are gentle with her, cradling her on their vast backs, and she gives herself over to them the way she has given herself over to the whole long journey, trusting, patient, carried, and the white country rushes away far below, the mountains and the frozen seas and the endless plains, all of it small and far beneath her as the winds bear her on toward the edge of the world. The old north wind is the last and the greatest, the strongest and the wildest of all the four, the only one who has ever flown to the far place beyond the edge of the world. He is old now and tired, for he flew there once long ago and has scarcely had the strength to fly since, and when she comes to him, she fears he may not be able to carry her. But when he hears her wordless tale, and sees the love that drives her, and the long road she has already come, something old and gallant wakes in him, and he gathers himself for one last great flight. He takes her up upon his vast cold back, and he rises, slow at first, and then faster, higher and harder than any wind has ever flown, out past the last of the white country, out past the edge of all the maps. It is a long flight and a hard one, and she feels him strain with all his failing strength, sinking lower and lower as his power fails, until at the very last, nearly spent, he brings her down at last upon a strange far shore at the edge of everything. And there, the thread tells her, in the cold, pale palace that rises from that far shore, the gentle one is held, just there, just ahead, at the end of the whole long world. You have travelled the whole long road with her, the white plains and the frozen seas, the warm huts of the lonely keepers and their small strange gifts, the great winds bearing her on toward the edge of everything. There is no fear in this journey, only its long slow spaciousness, the white silence and the kind keepers and the gentle winds, a vastness to rest in rather than to dread. Let it carry you the way the winds carried her, borne gently across the warm dark towards sleep, the long road unspooling slow and soft beneath you, the edge of the world drawing near. The old north wind sets her down at the edge of everything. The cold palace rises from the far shore, and the one she loves is near at last, just there, just ahead. Sink into the long, soft drift of the journey's end, and let yourself drift toward the far place beyond the edge of the world. The last and the strangest of the keepers are the winds, for at the very edge of the world live the great winds themselves, old and wild and powerful, and it is they alone who know the way to the far place beyond the edge. She comes first to the gentlest of the winds, the soft south wind, who has wandered far, but not so far as she must go, and who carries her a stage of the way and sets her down at the door of his stronger brother. And the east wind carries her farther, and the west wind farther still, each one bearing her on its great wild back across the frozen world, faster than any walking, toward the edge of everything. They are gentle with her, the great winds, for they can see the love that drives her and the long road she has come, and each one carries her as far as its power reaches, and then sends her on to the next. And so she is borne across the last of the world on the backs of the wind, has scarcely had the strength to fly since, but when he hears her wordless tale and sees the love that drives her, he gathers himself for one last great flight. He takes her up upon his vast cold back, and he rises, and he flies farther and harder and higher than any wind has ever flown, out past the last of the white country, out past the edge of all the maps, out toward the place that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. It is a long flight and a hard one, and the old north wind strains with all his failing strength to reach the far place, sinking lower and lower as his power fails, until, at the very last, nearly spent, he brings her down upon a strange far shore at the edge of everything. And there, the thread tells her, in the cold palace that rises from that far shore, the gentle one is held. You have travelled the whole long road with her, the white plains and the frozen seas, the lonely keepers and their small gifts, the great winds bearing her on toward the edge of the world, and it has carried you far and deep into the warm dark. There is no fear in this journey, only its long slow spaciousness, the white silence, and the kind keepers and the great gentle winds, a vastness to rest in, rather than to dread. Let it carry you the way the winds carried her, borne gently across the warm dark toward sleep, the long road unspooling slow and soft beneath you, the edge of the world drawing near. Let the long journey be a long drifting, each stage a little deeper down, the white country rushing soft beneath you, the gentle winds bearing you on toward rest. The old north wind sets her down at the edge of everything. The cold palace rises from the far shore, and the one she loves is near at last, just there, just ahead. Sink into the long, soft drift of the journey's end, and let yourself drift toward the far place beyond the edge of the world. The far place beyond the edge of the world is a strange one, the strangest Ingrid has ever come to. A cold, pale palace that rises from the lonely shore at the very end of all journeys. It stands beneath a sky that is neither the sky of day nor the sky of night, a place that lies east of the sun and west of the moon, beyond the reach of either, in a cold, pale light all its own. She comes to it spent and frozen from the long flight, set down by the failing north wind upon the far shore, and she stands before the cold, pale palace, and gathers herself, for she knows that the one she loves is held within. The thread runs straight toward it, into the cold, pale halls, and she follows it, into the palace at the end of the world, to find the gentle one, and win him back. She does not yet know how she will free him, only that she has come all this long way to do it, and that her love has carried her here, and will carry her the rest of the way. Within the cold, pale palace she finds him, the gentle one, the one she saw for a single moment in the cold lamplight and lost, and the sight of him fills her with a love so great it nearly breaks her. But he is held here, kept by the cold power that the breaking of the bargain gave him over to, a cold queen of the far palace who means to keep him for her own, and Ingrid cannot simply take him back. There is a test before her, she understands, a final trial, for the cold power will not give him up freely, and the winning of him back will ask of her one last and greatest devotion. She cannot win him by force, for she has no force here at the end of the world, and she cannot win him by pleading, for the cold power does not care for pleas. She can win him only by patience, and by cunning, and by the small strange gifts she gathered on the long road, and by the proving, at the very last, of a love that crossed the whole frozen world. And it is harder even than that, for the gentle one does not know her, not at first. So long has the cold power held him under its spell. itself to have crossed the whole world only to find him forgetting. But she does not despair, for she has come too far for despair, and she understands at last what the final test truly is: to reach him through the cold, to wake the warm memory in him, to prove across the enchantment that she is the one who loves him. And so she sets herself to it, with all the patience the long road has taught her, the slow, steady devotion that carried her across the world. She uses the small, strange gifts the lonely keepers gave her, whose use she understands now at last, offering them one by one to the cold queen who holds him. The cold power loves bright and precious things, and cannot resist them, and bargains for them, and in each bargain Ingrid wins a small thing in return. She wins, with the gifts, the bought hours, the chance to sit beside him through the cold nights of the far palace, the chance to be near him as she was near him in the warm house. It is a slow and patient work, the using of those bought hours, the sitting beside him in the cold, the pouring of all her warmth and all her love into a nearness he does not yet remember. But she has learned patience on the long road, has learned the slow, steady devotion of the journey, and she brings all of it now to this last and greatest task, the waking of his sleeping heart. She sits beside him through the long, cold nights of the far palace, near him as she was near him in the warm dark of the house in the snow, and she pours into that nearness everything she feels, all the love grown through the long winter, all the trust built in the warm dark, all the devotion that carried her across the whole frozen world and the edge of everything. She gives it all into the bought hours beside him, and slowly, across those hours, through the patient, steady devotion of one who will not give up, the memory begins to wake in him, faint at first, and then surer. He begins to feel the warmth of her nearness reaching through the cold, begins to stir at it, begins to remember, dimly and then more clearly, the warm dark and the long winter and the love they grew there. The veil the enchantment drew across his heart begins, slowly, to thin, and behind it the warmth begins to wake, and he begins, at last, to know her again. The nights in the cold palace are long, longer even than the winter nights of the north, and she keeps her vigil through all of them, patient and steady and unwavering. There is no warmth in the cold halls to begin with, no gold fire, no deep furs, only the cold pale light and the still cold air, and yet she brings her own warmth into them, the warmth of her love and her nearness and her devotion. She does not hurry, does not press, does not demand that he remember her faster than he can, for she has learned on the long road that the deepest things cannot be hurried. She only sits beside him, night after cold night, near and warm and patient, letting her nearness do its slow, gentle work, the way the spring sun does its slow work upon the snow, and the cold halls warm by the smallest degrees around her steady, patient love, the long enchantment thawing the way the long winter is, far away, beginning to thaw. It would be easy to despair in those long, cold nights, to fear that he will never wholly wake, that the cold has held him too long, that she has come all this way only to sit beside a forgetting heart. But she does not despair, for despair is a cold thing too, and she has not crossed the whole frozen world to add her own cold to the cold of the palace. She brings warmth instead, only warmth, patience and devotion, and the steady, unwavering love that carried her here, and she trusts it to do its work however long it takes. Each small sign of his waking is a treasure to her, a stirring at her nearness, a flicker of knowing in his eyes, a warmth where there was only cold before, and she gathers each one and holds it close and lets it give her strength. And slowly, surely, across the long patient nights, the signs grow, the warmth spreads, the knowing deepens, and she feels him returning to her, a little more with every cold night she keeps beside him. For this is the truest proving of her love, this patient, steady keeping, this refusal to despair, or to hurry, or to demand, this simple, faithful sitting beside him in the cold until the warmth comes. She had proven her love already, in a way, by crossing the whole world to find him, by enduring the long road and the great winds and the edge of everything. And yet this last proving is the deepest of all, for it is one thing to cross the world in a great brave journey, and another to sit faithful and patient beside a forgetting heart, night after cold night, asking nothing, demanding nothing, only loving, only waiting, only keeping warm the small flame of his returning. And it is this, the patient, faithful keeping, more than all the great brave journey, that wakes him at last, that thaws the cold, that proves a love deep enough to cross not only the whole world, but the last cold distance of a forgetting heart. And as the memory wakes in him, as he remembers the warm house, and the long winter, and the woman who trusted him in the dark and lost him to a single light, the cold power that holds him begins to fail, for the spell was only ever a cold thing, a thing of forgetting and of distance, and cold things cannot stand against a love proven so, a love that crossed the whole world and the edge of everything and the last cold distance of a forgetting heart. The more he remembers, the warmer he grows, and the warmer he grows, the weaker the cold queen's hold upon him becomes, the enchantment thinning, failing, beginning at last to break. She has reached him, through the cold, through the forgetting, through the whole long distance of the spell, reached him with nothing but her patient devotion and her proven love, and the cold palace begins, slowly, to feel the first warmth it has known in longer than its cold halls can remember, as the long enchantment nears its end, and at the last, when the memory has fully woken in him, when he knows her wholly and remembers the love they grew and the woman who came all this way to find him, the cold power that held him is broken, for the spell could never stand against a love proven so, a love that followed him beyond the edge of the world and reached him through the cold and the forgetting and woke his sleeping heart. The cold queen's hold on him fails. The cold, pale palace begins to lose its grip, and he is free, free at last, freed by the patient devotion of the one who loved him enough to cross the whole world. They stand together in the failing cold palace, the woman and the gentle one, free at last and knowing one another wholly. The long test past, the love proven, the spell broken, and the cold pale light of the far place begins, slowly, to warm as the long enchantment ends and the way home opens before them. You have come with her all the long way to the end of the world, through the test and the patient devotion and the slow waking of his heart, and you have felt the cold power break before the proven love. There is nothing sharp in it to wake you, only the deep, warm satisfaction of a long thing won, a love proven across the whole world, a forgetting heart waking slowly back to warmth. Let the warmth of it spread through you, the way it spreads through the cold palace. The long test past, the love proven, the gentle one freed, and knowing her at last. Let your breath stay long and slow, and feel the cold, pale light begin to warm. The long quest won, the way home opening, the love whole and free at the end of everything. The spell breaks, the cold palace warms, the two stand free together at the edge of the world, and the long winter itself begins, far away, to feel the first stirring of its end. Sink into the warm satisfaction of the long quest won, and let yourself drift as the way home opens and the thaw begins. The cold power's broken and the gentle one freed. The two of them turn home at last from the far place beyond the edge of the world, and as they go, the long enchantment ends, and the long winter with it, for the spell that held him had held the whole north in its cold grip, had been the very heart of that endless winter, and with its breaking, the cold begins, everywhere, to give way. The journey home is swift and warm where the journey out was long and cold, for the winds bear them gladly now, and the thread runs warm and bright before them, and the love proven needs no more trials, and everywhere they pass the thaw follows them, the deep snow softening and beginning to run, the frozen seas cracking and flowing, the white silence giving way to the first sounds of moving water and waking life. The long winter is ending at last, broken by the proven love, melting into a warm and flooding spring. They come home to the great house in the snow, but it is not a house in the snow any longer, for the snow is melting away around it, running off the heavy roof, draining from the white plains, bearing the dark warm earth beneath. The cold fires of the emptied house wake again and burn warm and cold. The deep warmth returns to the great rooms. The long cold house warms back to life around the two of them, glad to its very stones that its master is freed and his mistress returned. And the gentle one is freed now, not only of the cold palace, but of the whole long enchantment, free to be wholly himself at last, by day as well as by dark, no longer the one who comes only in the night, but simply the one she loves, whole and warm and present. There is no need for the dark between them any more, no bargain, no condition, no light that must not be brought, for the spell that asked it is broken, and they may love now wholly and openly, seen and seeing, in the warm light of the thawing world. The thaw spreads across the whole north as they come home, the long winter breaking everywhere into the first warm flooding of spring. The deep snow that lay so long over everything begins to soften and run, the white plains bearing their dark warm earth, the frozen seas cracking and flowing free, the silent white country waking into sound and movement and life. There is the sound of water everywhere now, the trickle and rush of the melting snow, the first running of the freed streams after so long a silence, and it is the loveliest sound in all the world. The far pale mountains lose their hard white shrouds, the dark forests shake off their heavy snow, the whole frozen country thaws and softens and wakes, as though the breaking of the spell had broken the grip of winter itself, and everywhere the thaw follows the two of them as they come home, the warmth spreading out from their proven love across the whole waking north. The great house, when they reach it, is no longer cold and dark and empty, but waking back to warmth around them, glad to its very stones at their return. The fires that had sunk to ash wake again and burn warm and cold. The deep warmth returns to the great rooms. The long cold house warms back to life, glad that its master is freed and its mistress is home. And the gentle one is freed now, not only of the cold palace, but of the whole long enchantment that bound him, free at last to be wholly himself, by day as much as by dark. He is no longer the one who comes only in the night, no longer the presence in the unlit corners, without a face, but simply the one she loves, whole and warm and present, there beside her in the warm light of the thawing world. She may look upon him now whenever she wishes, freely, openly, with no bargain to keep and no light to fear, may know him wholly at last, by day and by dark, in the warm spring light of the waking north. And so the reunion is warm and complete, the love proven across the whole frozen world, and the dark no longer needed to hold it. The slow trust grown through the long winter, the devotion proven on the long road, the patient love that crossed the edge of everything and reached him through the cold, all of it resolves at last into this, into the warm, settled closeness of two who have been through the whole world and back and come home to one another. There is no doubt left in her now, no wondering, no wish to see what she cannot, for she has seen him and lost him and won him back, and knows him now wholly, by day and by dark. And there is no spell left in him now, no hidden weight, no held sorrow, no enchantment, only the warm wholeness of one, freed at last, and loved wholly, home at last, with the one who crossed the world for him. They stand together in the warming house as the long winter melts away around them into spring, and all is well, all is deeply and completely well, and it seems fitting, somehow, that the breaking of their long dark should come not in deeper dark, but in the growing light of spring, the two of them free now to love in the open day. For their love had grown in the dark, through the long winter of the unseen night, and had been broken once by a light brought too soon, and now it comes into the light at last, freely, fully, in its own true time. There is a deep rightness in that, in a love that learned the dark and then earned the light, that was patient through the long winter and is rewarded now with the warm, open spring. They walk out together into the thawing world, into the first warm light and the running water and the bared dark earth, seen and seeing, whole and free, and the long winter is behind them forever. You rest there with them in the warm thawing world, and the same deep gladness fills you. The warmth of a long winter ended, a love proven and won, a long quest brought home at last. Feel how it has all come round, the love grown in the dark, the trust broken by a single light, the loss, the long brave journey across the whole world, the patient devotion, the spell broken, and the winter thawed at last. There is nothing left to fear here, nothing to ache for, nothing to doubt, only the warm thawing world and the love come home, and the deep slow peace of a long thing won at last. Let it fill you the way it fills them, the warmth of the thaw, the gladness of the reunion, the deep settled peace of a love proven across the whole frozen world. Let your breath go as slow and as glad as theirs, and sink as deep and as sweet as you have ever sunk toward the warm bottom of sleep. And so, the reunion is warm and complete, the love proven across the whole frozen world, and the dark no longer needed to hold it, the slow trust grown through the long winter, the devotion proven on the long road, the love that crossed the edge of everything, all of it resolves at last into this, into the warm, settled closeness of two who have been through the whole world and back and come home to one another. There is no doubt left in her now, no wondering, no wish to see what she cannot, for she has seen him and lost him and won him back, and knows him now wholly, by day and by dark, in the warm light of the spring. And there is no spell left in him now, no hidden weight, no held sorrow, no enchantment, only the warm wholeness of one freed at last, and loved wholly, home at last, with the one who crossed across the world for him. They stand together in the warming house as the long winter melts away around them, and all is well. All is deeply and completely well. You rest there with them in the warm thawing world, and the same deep gladness fills you. The warmth of a long winter ended, a love proven and won, a long quest brought home at last. Feel how it has all come round, the love grown in the dark, the trust broken by a single light, the loss, the long brave journey across the whole world, the patient devotion, the spell broken, and the winter thawed. There is nothing left to fear here, nothing to ache for, nothing to doubt, only the warm thawing world, and the love come home, and the deep slow peace of a long thing won at last. Let it fill you the way it fills them, the warmth of the thaw, the gladness of the reunion, the deep settled peace of a love proven across the whole frozen world. Let your breath go as slow and as glad as theirs, and sink as deep and as sweet as you have ever sunk toward the warm bottom of sleep. And now, as the long winter melts into spring around the two of them, and the warm house glows gold in the thawing world, let me draw you gently back, the way I always do, up out of the story and toward your own waiting rest. The gentle one is freed, the long winter is broken, the love is proven and whole, and Ingrid is won back across the whole frozen world, the one she loved and lost to a single light. The silver thread runs warm and bright from her heart, and it does not end here, for it never ends. It only turns and leads onward, away from the thawing north, and on toward whatever waits next in the country of the velvet hour. Feel for it now, the fine bright line, and follow it gently with your drowsy mind as it turns and leads away, out of the warm thawing house and on into the night beyond. The thread leads out and away, and it is not lifted on the wind this time, nor carried on the tide, but taken up by the bright rush of the snow melt itself, the meltwater of the broken winter running south and down. You follow it with your sleepy mind, the fine bright thread riding the rushing snow melt south, down out of the thawing mountains, down through the warming country, south and south toward a warmer land, and there, where the meltwater gathers and sinks at last into the warm dark earth, the thread tells you there is an opening, a dark doorway down into the ground, down into an underworld beneath the world. There a woman goes down into the dark season, the thread tells you, down into the quiet world below, and finds, to her own surprise, that the descent into the dark is something she chooses, that she becomes not a captive of the underworld, but a queen of it. The thread runs south on the snowmelt toward that dark doorway in the earth, and the question of who she is and why she chooses the descent is the soft hook I will leave glowing in your sleepy mind tonight. For now the long winter is broken and the love is won, and the gentle one is freed and whole, and there is nothing left for you to do but rest. Let the dark doorway wait in the earth ahead. Let the silver thread ride the snow melt south. Let the thawing world breathe, soft and warm beneath the spring, and let yourself sink the rest of the way down into your own warm sleep, knowing that when you return to the velvet hour, I will be here, and we will follow the thread together down into the underworld and find the woman who chooses the dark. Sleep well, sleep deep. I will see you tomorrow.